Hello, friends. I know it's been a while, but we're back with really, I guess, the first official pick, maybe the second pick video of the year. I have to double check that, but regardless. UFC Fight Night, Gregory Rodrigues versus Cannonier, the Killer Gorilla. I actually think this is going to be the crazy onion card. A lot of finishes, a lot of people getting knocked out. Very juicy, tremendous finishes, spooky hours. Might as well hop straight into it. First fight of the night, women's bantamweight bout. Julia Avila versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti, aka Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I've heard it pronounced different ways. Feels weird actually doing a pick video now. It's been so long. I've been slacking. Been busy with school and other things. But anyways, back to the picks. Jacqueline Cavalcanti has a big size advantage in this fight, and I think that she's actually a very promising prospect. Decent, not even a decent, a good striker. I actually think that Jacqueline Cavalcanti is going to pick up a finish here, a later round finish. Julia Avila, on the other hand, looks to be at the end of her career, a lot more inactive, coming off of losses. It's rough. It's rough. I could see a round 3 KO TKO for Jacqueline Cavalcanti here, and that's actually what I'm going to go with. A round 3 KO TKO for Jacqueline Cavalcanti. I'm going to try to make this a quick video, but moving on, men's heavyweight bout. Valter Walker versus Don'Tale Mayes. Lord Kong. Don'Tale Mayes, man. Valter Walker showed massive improvements, not only to his game, but also physically. He got into a much better form, much better physical shape for his last fight. And I'm going to kind of rely on that. I'm going to back Valter Walker here to win this one by decision. I think this is actually a chance for him to impress with a little bit of grappling prowess, maybe a little bit of striking prowess. Shown, demonstrated, I should say. Don'Tale Mayes is a big guy. You know, they're heavyweights. The possibility of Valter Walker getting one shot is always there. And Don'Tale Mayes actually does have a little bit of a reach advantage over Valter Walker. But I think Valter Walker, the younger, again, more promising prospect in this situation, I think he should win more often than not, given this matchup. Moving on to a fight that is really fucking spooky hours. I think this is actually going to be a sleeper fight, a really good fight. This is kind of why I say it's an onion card. Vince Morales versus Elijah Smith. I've gone back and forth. I think I might go with Vince Morales, man. Vince Morales, even though he has a very questionable UFC record that's spread over 2 runs, the people he's fought are way better than Elijah Smith. Elijah Smith, again, 7-1, making his UFC debut. Very young, the kid's 22. And has decent finishes, but they're not against the same caliber of fighter that Vince Morales has been fighting. Straight up. This is kind of spookier, but I can actually see this one going the distance, and Elijah Smith just losing due to that experience, due to that fight experience that Vince Morales has. And I'm going to go with Vince Morales by decision. He could get knocked out, but I'll take that chance. Moving on. Gabriel Bonfim versus Khaos Williams. I see a lot of people going with Gabriel Bonfim. I really like Khaos Williams in this matchup. He has been out-grappled, and literally he's been beaten in fights because of the grappling, being held down and such. But last fight against Carlson Harris, that was decent actually, man. Like, I think he's actually been in pretty good form. He has a notable reach advantage over Gabriel Bonfim. And he's a striker. Even though Gabriel is not just like a grappler in that sense. Him and his brother are both pretty well-versed on the ground and the feet. But I could see Khaos Williams either sniping Gabriel Bonfim, interrupting him, countering him early on. But I could also see him picking up a later finish as well. Really. I do think that Khaos Williams is going to KO TKO Gabriel Bonfim. I think it's just a matter of when. And that is the pick. I'll think about the round, but I want to say round 2. I'll say in the middle of that. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes at any time, though. Moving on to another fight that I think is actually absolutely terrifying. Rafael Estevam versus this fucking guy, Jesus Aguilar. Jesus Aguilar is unpredictable in the worst sense. If you guys remember, if you were in the Smoky Hours live stream in his last fight versus Stuart Nickel, where I picked Stuart Nickel was a decent favorite in that fight, I was like, we're good as long as Jesus Aguilar doesn't open up the fight with a massive overhand and then guillotine choke him. And that's literally exactly what fucking happened. I say all of that to say this. That's the danger from Jesus Aguilar, is that round 1 starts, he instantly lands a monstrous overhand punch, and then he finishes fucking Rafael with a guillotine choke. Rafael is very good on the ground and the feet, though. He also should be pretty big compared to Jesus Aguilar. But honestly, I've counted Jesus Aguilar out enough, and he's upset me. So he demands his respect, honestly. And I think if he wins this fight, he's not going to be an underdog in any more of his UFC fights unless he's fighting big names. Moving on, Jared Gordon versus, this actually got canceled. Angela Hill versus Ketlen Souza. This might be a bit of an emotional pick. I'm going with Angela Hill, though. I can actually kind of give some rationale behind it, separate from bias. Angela Hill, I think, is in fantastic fucking form right now, despite her loss against Tabitha Ricci on paper. One, I think that was a robbery. I think that Angela Hill won that fight, so fuck that. And her wins right before then were really good. They were really good wins. Really good wins. Ketlen Souza is actually pretty good herself, and her record is a lot better than Angela Hill's. But if you dive a little bit deeper, Angela Hill's record looks the way it does because she's been fighting in the UFC for the overwhelming majority of it. Straight up. So I'm going to go with Angela Hill by decision. Moving on. I think that's actually pretty calm. If you go with Ketlen Souza, it makes sense too. It's not like a no-brainer for me. That's why I also say it might be an emotional pick. You might even think that I'm being foolish for that, But moving on. Jose Delgado versus Connor Matthews, another fight that I'm actually looking forward to. I think this is going to be a good matchup. I think people are counting out Connor Matthews a little bit because of his performance against Denis Bazukia. Jose Delgado, though, from what I saw, I actually did watch some tape on Jose Delgado, actually does seem to be promising. Lays on pressure. He likes to kickbox, but he will mix it up with a little bit of grappling. He'll attempt a takedown if he has to, or if he just thinks the time is right. Or if people are even pressuring him. I quite like that. He's picked up some impressive finishes. I actually was kind of counting him out when I was just first reading over his Tapology, but when I saw his fights, actually, I was low-key impressed. Connor Matthews, on the other hand, is someone who I thought was going to be a lot better than he's turned out to be so far. Very early on in his career, so to speak, just in terms of actual fights, even though he's 32 years old. Only 7-2 with one loss in the UFC in his one appearance. But Jose Delgado seems to be like the perfect style to also get Connor Matthews, where Connor Matthews tries to cover up, withstand the storm, maybe in round 1, just comes forward with a huge swarm of shot, a flurry of shots. One of them gets through, hurts Connor, and then it's kind of over from there. I could see that happening. I think that is what's going to happen. Moving on. Adolfo Vera. I hope that's how you say that. Vera. Versus Andre Petrosky. Now, Adolfo we've seen. The black belt killer. The black belt hunter. I'm going to go with Adolfo here. I'm also going to go with it by submission, even though Andre Petrosky is a talented grappler in his own right. That's kind of why I'm picking it. I'm expecting this fight to go to the ground, and Adolfo is the better grappler of the two. I believe that, at least. Also, even though Andre Petrosky has kind of redeemed himself, I will always question him on the fucking Jacob Malkoun hip knockout shit. That was just absolute insanity. I think Andre Petrosky is probably the more well-rounded fighter here, probably has the better hands and striking, but I'm still going to go with Adolfo. I think it's going to go to the ground, and that's where it's going to be decided. So I'll say by round 2 submission, something like that. Something like that. I might change that at the end, but either way. Moving on. Ismail Bonfim versus Nazim Sadikov, the Black Wolf. Spooky hours here, kind of, but I think Nazim has kind of skirted by a little bit. I think Ismail is going to possibly dog him, like really knock him the fuck out. Has a lot more experience over him. And better experience too, more UFC experience. It's kind of rough. Actually, they have an equal amount of UFC experience, but you know what I mean by that. Nazim, I'm just not fully sold on yet. Even though I'm not fully sold on either Bonfim brother, I should say. I still will go with Ismail. Moving on. Edmund Shabazian versus Dylan Budka. Dylan Budka, man. This guy is going to be fighting for his career, but Edmund Shabazian has to be the pick here, despite the ups and downs that Edmund Shabazian has gone through and shown us. I feel like this is kind of tailor-made for him to get a finish here. They want Edmund Shabazian to get a finish. Edmund Shabazian, regardless of form, is dangerous. I think he'll also be a little bit bigger than Dylan Budka. I think the striking defense of Dylan Budka is nowhere near where it needs to be to face a dude like Edmund Shabazian. I don't think that Dylan Budka has enough of a finishing threat to really bother Edmund or throw him off of his game, to give him any problems. But on the other hand, Edmund actually is a real finishing threat, especially for a guy like Dylan Budka. So I'm going to go with Edmund Shabazian by round 1 KO TKO. I think he will get it done early on. Maybe it comes later, but I do think he will get a finish here, at least. On to the co-main, actually. We are going through them quickly, or at least it feels quick. Maybe it'll be in somewhere around 20 minutes, the normal length of the videos. And again, it has felt weird making these picks, but I just got to get used to them again. Cavalcanti versus Youssef Zalal. Going with Youssef Zalal. Youssef Zalal has looked amazing in his return to the UFC. Beat Jack Shore. Really good prospect. That was a good fight, actually. Cavalcanti, on the other hand, is on like the opposite run. Man's on a 3-fight losing streak. Granted, these are 2 former champions and top-of-the-line fighters. But he's also older. You have to ask yourself, where is Cavalcanti in his career? Is he closer to the end, closer to the middle, closer to the beginning? I want to say closer to the end. Youssef Zalal, on the other hand, I don't think that's the case. I don't think he's closer to the end. I think there's a lot more to give for Youssef Zalal. He's a lot younger at 28. Showed decent hands and good grappling, which I like, actually. Cavalcanti has very dangerous hands, but I don't know if it's the same Cavalcanti. I'm willing to take another chance on Youssef Zalal. He sold me. He sold me on the Jack Shore performance. What can I say? Youssef Zalal is the pick. I'll say by decision. I don't know if he finishes Cavalcanti in the same manner like he did Jack Shore, but I could see him winning a decision. And on to the main event. Jared the Killer Gorilla Cannonier versus Gregory Robocop Rodrigues. Or just Robocop, you should say. Oh, hasn't looked good as of late for Jared Cannonier. Man has started to look more and more his age. Still a dangerous fighter. Still a fucking gifted athlete. Insane physique at 40 years old. Almost north of 40 years old. And actually not unbelievably undersized as people would think against a dude like Robocop. In terms of height, yes, but reach, no, actually. And Jared is used to fighting big guys. But Robocop has just taken way less damage. I think it's Robocop's time. Jared Cannonier has come off of 2 bad losses really not too long ago, where he was getting fucked up in both of them, even though he escaped the last one. I could see Gregory Rodrigues getting like a later, or like a round 2 and on KO TKO here. And I think that's actually what I'm going to go with. Gregory Rodrigues by round 2 KO TKO. Man's powerful. He hits hard. He still has a bit of a chin. He can try to take down or at least defend himself from takedowns if Jared wants to try that. I think I'll recap the fights and then that's it. I'm going to try to save and update like where I've been and all that stuff for another video. But starting back over at the top one more time, we're going to say Jacqueline Cavalcanti to beat Julia Avila by round 3 KO TKO. Late KO TKO, late finish, but I think she's actually going to show off a little bit. Show off some skills in this fight. Valter Walker to win his fight by decision. He could get a finish. He could get finished by Don't Tell Maze. It's heavyweight, so it's like this man Curtis Blaze said, it's almost like another sport, you know. Obviously, it's not that dramatic of a difference. It's just the fact that people can get one shot. We are switching up, and we're going to go with Vince Morales by decision after that. That is going to be spooky, man. That's very spooky. Then we got Khaos Williams by round 2 KO TKO. I'm fairly confident in Khaos Williams winning. It might not be by a round 2 KO TKO. I am confident in him getting a finish here. I don't know why. It's just kind of the universe speaking to me. Rafael Estevam by decision. Could he get a finish? Yes. Could he get finished? Unfucking fortunately, yes. It's like I said before. I've doubted Jesus Aguilar too many times at this point, really. He actually has proven himself He's overperformed. He's overperformed. That's all I can say. He might land a fucking overhand and then find a guillotine super quick. Moving on, we got Angela Hill by decision. Spoken enough about that. Jose Delgado by round 2 KO TKO. That actually does sound a bit right. He could overpressure and overwhelm Connor Matthews in round 1. I might actually change to round 1, but I could also see Connor Matthews getting out of round 1 and sticking around. I don't know. I'll stick with round 2, actually. Round 2 KO TKO. Actually, you know what? Fuck that. Round 1 KO TKO for this man, Jose Delgado. I think he's going to try to make a statement. Going to pressure and overwhelm Connor Matthews and catch him, while Connor Matthews just tries to weather the storm. Moving on. Adolfo Vieira. Round 2 submission, like I said before. I do think the fight gets to the ground, possibly multiple times, and in round 2 he gets caught, him being Andre Petroski. Ismail Bonfim by round 1 KO TKO. I do think that he smokes on Nazim. Edmund Shabazian, again, round 1 KO TKO DQ. I think this is a very favorable matchup for Edmund Shabazian. Youssef Zalal by decision. I can see him kind of being ahead in points the whole fight, every round. Maybe not one round. Maybe in the round 2, Calvin Kattar comes back a little bit. Maybe round 3, Youssef Zalal takes his foot off the gas pedal a little bit. But I do think Youssef Zalal is still going to win a decisive fight. And then to top it off, we got this man, Gregory Rodrigues, by round 2 KO TKO and DQ. I think that Jared Cannonier still is going to have a lot of that athleticism, that physicality. Dude is he's a world-class fighter. Just older now. And I think that's still going to be prevalent. You know, he's still going to have a good 5, maybe 10, maybe even 15 minutes of fight in him. But I do think that eventually Gregory will catch him. And everything that we've seen recently would lead us to believe that it's going to end up in a knockout, unfortunately. That's really it. Thank you for watching. Like the video if you liked the video. Dislike the video if you disliked the video, though. Leave a comment telling me why you liked it or disliked it. Let me know your picks on that. Let me know anything. Come to the Smoky Hours live stream, the Smoky Hours Fight Companion, which has been on this entire time, despite the lack of pick and prediction videos as well as recaps. Expect that. I always say more content soon. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it so much. Every time one of you guys watches, leaves a comment, I just see a view for more than 30 seconds in the live stream. It actually does mean a lot to me. And I love seeing familiar faces every time we do the Smoky Hours live stream. Even when people just hop in to say hello, it helps a lot. And it means a lot to me. So again, as always, thank you for watching. Much love. Big kiss.